Hello and welcome to a Chip Off the Old Block Toys. This is Jeff here, and this is going to be part 2 of building the Eiffel Tower, which is set number 10307. And of course it's Lego, and this thing was just released on Black Friday, so not too long ago at all. Alright guys, we have done bags 1 through 10, and this is where it got us, this base right here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with bag number 11 and 12 mixed. And so basically we've got kind of these corners to build here. And that'll be about it for those two bags. Now that's not where we're stopping tonight. And hello Greg and hello John. I've got to cut this stream at about 50 minutes because I've got to be somewhere at 6. So anyway, just letting you know, we'll get as far as we can. And I don't plan on doing another live stream until probably Thursday. I don't think I'm going to get to it tomorrow. In fact, I can't remember now, but there was something that I was thinking that I can't do. There's a reason why I can't. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day. And hello, Mrs. Chip. My day was decent. It wasn't the best. I got news that I didn't want to hear today, and that is they're hiring somebody, and at my job that's a consultant currently. And I was kind of hoping they'd let the contract run out, but they didn't. They hired this person, so I guess they're here to stay, and I got to deal with it. But no, it's whatever. It's whatever at this point. I can't control it. I can't believe I've lost the screwdriver and display plaque for the AT-AT. Oh, that's bad news, Greg. But you know, it does happen. I've lost a few things too over the years, Lego related. In fact, I haven't done it since the last show, but before the last show, I was going through all my Lego sets and replacing any pieces that are lost. So, Greg, it does happen. At a high school event, basketball game at Boone High School. Alright. Well, yeah, when you live out in Kentucky, they got some names like that. But anyway, I did go to the doctor, by the way, guys, and I did see him for my neck. And the doctor agrees that physical therapy probably is not going to do a whole lot for me. And so she just referred me to a neurologist. Hopefully that referral goes through without a hitch, because I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm really sick of things not happening. So it just seems like everything is just a huge effort to get the smallest thing done these days, and I gotta admit, I'm tired. I'm tired of doing it. And yes, I am complaining. So, not that anybody's listening, but I'm complaining. So yeah, the kind of injury that I have to my neck, let me just put it this way. I got an MRI done 2 years ago, right before I had my other surgery. And when I had the MRI done, they said, "Are you sure you don't have any other symptoms?" And I said, "Nope." And they said, "Well, to be honest with you, the section right above where we're planning on doing surgery looks worse than the area we're doing surgery, but it was C6, C7 that was giving me all the problems, not C5, C6. But C5, C6 looked worse on the MRI. So, anyway, and they told me, they said, you know, it'll probably eventually start giving you problems, and when it does, come back. Well, it's giving me problems, so I went back, and they said, let's have you go see a neurosurgeon. So, I imagine one of the first things the new one's going to want, the neurosurgeon's going to want to do is an MRI, another one, because 2 years old is too old. But it's not like it heals itself, and she said that. She said that the kind of injury I have won't heal itself, so you just, you know, about the only thing they can do is cut you open and fix it. So I'm hoping that we can get that ball rolling really soon. But no guarantees. They may want to do physical therapy, even though she doesn't feel like it'll do any good. They might want it. So keep fingers crossed that they don't. But we'll see. Yeah, so I've continued to sort Legos. Of course, you know, I bought quite a bit from my store, and I admit I probably bought too many. But yeah, we'll see. It looks like if I misplaced one of these, that would be awesome, but I don't think I did, and that means I'm short one. Oh, I did misplace it. Okay, good. Alright. So I got some notifications today that I think I was telling you guys last time that I ordered about $400 in parts for Mills plates. And I've got about 10 buildings that I want to put on Mills plates. And then I've got some railroad track I want to ballast, all that good stuff. So anyway, I've got a lot of reasons I need Mills plates right now. And I'm trying to get that done. But I got notifications today they shipped some of that stuff. So that is good. And it says I'm doing this ×2, so yeah, I gotta do 4 times actually. Can't find it anywhere. Sorry to hear, Greg. I don't imagine it sprouted legs and walked off, or wings and flew off. Hopefully you'll find it. You know, I really do hope that. That's still one of my favorite sets. Unfortunately, mine got butchered in the move. It's in like, oh hell, I don't know. How many pieces does that thing come in? 3,000? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. However many pieces it came in, that's how many pieces it's in. It went to pieces. And I just haven't had the time to rectify that yet. So, yeah. Hopefully once I get my store all squared away, I'll have the time to do more other things that I want to do. That is one of the reasons I don't want to do my store anymore, is that yes, it does bring in money, but the time commitment is so immense that it keeps me from doing a lot of other things. And hi John. So yeah. Oh, yeah, I probably should tell you what I was doing right before the live stream. Some of you might have known from, you know, watching my live streams and listening to me that I was born in California, and I spent my first early years in California. And anyway, Lake Shasta may not mean much to you. It does mean something to me. I've done Boy Scout campouts when I was younger at Lake Shasta, and Lake Shasta is beautiful. It's in Northern California, a little above Redding. And Lake Shasta, when I was there in probably the late 80s, early 90s, it was full. And what are you saying, John? You're saying too bad the voice doesn't start when the video starts. It goes to mute. Oh, yeah, it is kind of funny about that. So Lake Shasta, I've gone camping there many times, and it was very full, but now it is not. I just watched a YouTube video of a guy who just took a video of Lake Shasta last month, and it is dry as you would not believe. In fact, it is so dry that some train tunnels that have not been seen since the 40s when they built the lake are now exposed. And the guy was actually walking through the tunnels on dry ground. And there was a train derailment that used to be covered by water, and now you can see the wheels, and you can see, it's just amazing how low the water is. Okay, looks like I didn't get a couple things. Let me get those now. So yeah, It's interesting to see such a video, especially because I know the area and I've been to the area. And back in the day, before the lake was in, it's now an island, but it used to not be an island. They call it Slaughterhouse Island for obvious reasons. There was a slaughterhouse there. Anyway, just a little bit interesting little history. Maybe you're not interested, but maybe you are in such things. I tend to like those kind of channels where they do urban exploring and other things. And I know that doesn't technically qualify as urban exploring, but I do enjoy urban exploring channels, though. Very educational when it comes to the history, and I love history. The drought, yeah, the drought is horrible there. They're saying the people that manage, the government agency that manages Lake Shasta is saying that they're going to change policies this year, and they don't think the lake's going to be this low anymore. And if that's the case, everything this guy's looking at is going to be covered by water in less than a year. Of course, with the amount of snow that we've been getting here, and the West usually gets it first, I think they'll have more water than they've had for a while. So, and if you want to look up something interesting, also in the Bay Area, California, you may not know this, but there's a ghost town actually in the Bay Area, and it's called Drawbridge Island. And yes, at one time there was a drawbridge there, and now it has been, the last resident lived there in the 70s. A train still goes through it, and that's really the only way you can see it, because they have outlawed walking on there. Is now a bird refuge. So since the 70s, it's been a bird refuge, and some of the buildings still stand. Not many of them, but a few. The town was never really that big. I think at its height it was only 700 or 800 people. And it was mostly, they called it a vice town, because there were brothels and there was gambling. Anyways, regardless, interesting piece of history. And there we go. And again, because I grew up in that area, it means something to me to see that. And I didn't even know it existed until in my teens. I went to the Sunnyvale dump or landfill with my brother-in-law, and when I did, my brother-in-law said, "There's a ghost town out there," and I said, "Really? Where?" And he pointed out the horizon, and you could see out there some buildings that were, they looked like they were wooden, but they were way, way off in the distance. And sure enough, it really does exist. So, I have been to the Winchester Mystery House, and I do have pictures. And if you don't know what the Winchester Mystery House is, I'm going to tell you really quick. So, the inventor of the Winchester rifle and guns, he died, and he left his wife a daily allowance, because he didn't want her to have access to all the money. Of course, it was a different time. Women were not trusted, and it was harder for them to own property. In some cases, they couldn't at all. Anyway, that's just history. I'm not saying it should be that way. So what had happened was, when he died, he left her that allowance, and she sought out a spiritualist. And the spiritualist told her that she had to continue building on this house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or else the spirits of those who were killed by her husband's rifles would haunt her. And so she hired more than one architect, actually, because if you had a disagreement with her, you found yourself in the unemployment line. And yes, that is something they tell you on the tour. So she built a mansion, and they literally worked on the house 24/7. There were so many rooms. Currently, it's at like 140 rooms, I think it is. It used to be bigger, but the earthquake of 1906, was it, San Francisco, which was only about 40 miles away, actually damaged part of the house, and part of the house had to be torn down. So, anyway, I have seen it in person. Got plenty of pictures. There are staircases that go to nowhere, and that's supposedly to confuse the spirits, that if they try following her through the house. Also, Mrs. Winchester had a disease where she couldn't lift her legs very high. And because of that, Mrs. Winchester, the stairs are smaller, not as tall. So there are more steps than there would be in a normal house to get to the same height. There were something like, I think it was like 14 kitchens or something. There was so much to that house. Okay, 13 and 14. And there were doors that opened up to nowhere as well. You'd open up this brick wall. I have not been to that one, Greg. I have been to the Simeon Castle. It's right on the coast. And that was, I can't remember which newspaper, but he owned a major newspaper in the area, and that was his claim to fame, was building that big old expensive mansion. And when I lived in California, I've been to San Juan Bautista, which is one of the Spanish missions there. The Spanish, when they owned California, built a mission a day's walk from each other from the border of Mexico to San Francisco. And I believe that's where it stopped. I could be wrong. Anyway, interesting stuff. Very interesting architecture. They show you pictures of the place before the 1906 earthquake and before the 1906 earthquake, which was also in San Francisco, like I was talking about earlier. The land was completely flat. But after the earthquake, the land dropped about, I think, about 15, 20 feet. And so the mission's right here, and literally, like, outside the mission, it drops. And then there's farmland. Kind of interesting stuff. You been to the Texas Spanish mission? That's awesome. Those are cool. I didn't know they had those. I guess I did know. What am I talking about? Yeah, yeah. I guess I kind of forgot about it. And I've been to the Presidio in San Francisco. I walked across the Golden Gate Bridge. I've been to Alcatraz. I've been to Treasure Island. I've been to lots of places in California. I mean, after all, I did grow up there. Well, you could say mostly. Enzo, why'd you kick the cabinet? Enzo's over there kicking the cabinets. Near San Antonio. Yeah. This stuff's made in San Antonio. New York City. Anyway, sorry. That was paste pecani sauce. I love those commercials. They were so wrong. But right. Alright. So we're also doing a ×2 here. We're doing a twofer. Okay. Let's see. The Preston Castle. No, I haven't been to that one. I've been to Big Sur. Let's see, what else have I been to? Well, it's changed hands a few times, but I used to work at Marriott's Great America. and then the city of Santa Clara bought it, and then Paramount's bought it, and then I think it went back to the city. I don't really know. It's changed hands so many times, but it's an amusement park, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I worked there for 2 summers. Got me a season's pass because I worked there, which I thought I was the coolest kid on the block till I realized there's thousands of other kids that worked there and had a season pass too. But you know what the heck, it was fun. Working at an amusement park is fun. You get to see all different walks of life, and you get to meet a lot of different people, which I did, and I did like meeting a lot of different people. People in general can be very interesting, especially if you have an open mind. And just because you have an open mind doesn't mean you're gonna think the way they do. Just an open mind, because you know, if you really think about it, the reason why people believe in what they believe in or live the way they do is because it serves a purpose for them. It helps them through life. And if you have an open enough mind to explore why it might appeal to them, you'll learn something. And I'm not saying you got to think that way, and I'm not saying you got to do what they do. But that's what I liked about talking to all these different people, was that I learned a lot. I've also learned that a lot of people are just weird. There's no way around that. Just some people are weird. All right. Well, I think we're making pretty good progress tonight. I'm happy with the progress. And I hope you guys can see what I'm doing on camera. It is kind of far away, but it is kind of hard with this being so big. I can't keep getting up and moving the camera every which direction. So hopefully this is working out for you guys. Let me know in the comments if it's not. I'll be happy to try to adjust the camera and see what I can do, but we'll see. I think perhaps the coolest thing that ever did happen was when I was 17 years old. I attempted to join the Navy. It did not work because I've had surgery, heart surgery, when I was about 2. And unfortunately, I bear the scars from it, the proof. And I got to MEPS and they said, nope, can't take you. So I didn't join, but I wanted to. And when that happened, the other guys in the car did enlist that day. And our recruiter said, you know what? The USS Abraham Lincoln, a U.S. naval carrier, was stationed at Alameda, California, Alameda Air Station, getting some retrofitting done. And our recruiter said, if nobody's in a hurry to get back, I'll see if I can get us on there. And we all agreed that we'd rather hang out on an aircraft carrier for a little bit if we could. And so he went up and talked to some people, and we got the opportunity to go on the USS Abraham Lincoln. And I will never forget that experience because that was really, really cool. Aircraft carriers are large, and they are very big from the outside, but believe me, every square inch of that carrier is used up. It's not wasted. And Greg, I have not been to any haunted places here in Utah. Maybe I should, because after all, that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I have been to a couple caves here in Utah. Utah is known for their abandoned mines. There's quite a few of them. And I've been to a couple of them. But it's hard to get in them these days because there's been some accidents that have happened. And so now there's some of them have been, a lot of them have been sealed off, but there's still plenty that haven't been. But it's also generally considered trespassing as well. So no, I haven't been to any recently. I lived here in Utah, well, not here in Utah because I don't live in Utah anymore. but I lived in Utah when I was between the ages of 17 and 19, and that was where I did the majority of that kind of stuff, and things were more open back then. But since then, several of them, like I said, have been sealed off with concrete or just large rocks blocking the openings now. Yes, liability is correct, John. And unfortunately, you know, those that are sue happy kind of ruined it for the rest of us. I think you pretty much know that if you're going into an abandoned mine shaft or tunnel or whatever, I think you pretty well know it's dangerous, right? So if you get hurt, kind of your own fault, in my opinion. And I think by walking in there, you're accepting that responsibility. But unfortunately, people don't. They do it anyways, and then when they get hurt, they got to find someone to blame. And when that happens, you ruin it for the rest of us. All right. Oh, there it is. I almost was going to say I couldn't find it, but I did find it. So yeah, I do like that kind of stuff, and I wish I could do more of it. In fact, when I lived down in the Salt Lake area, there are hiking groups that are free. They just kind of, some of them do Discord, some of them do Facebook, you know, whatever. They got different groups, and you can join them, and they do hikes on a regular basis. Most of the hikes are free. Sometimes there might be a small charge for parking, that kind of thing. Anyways, when I lived in Layton before my house was built, I joined one of those groups, and I did a couple of hikes with them. It was a lot of fun. They tend to pick both your out-of-the-way places and your more popular places, and it's really cool to go with a group and just, you know, hang out and have fun. And plus the fact that the only thing you're really paying for is your gas and your parking makes it even better. So anyway, I was thinking about that today because I was talking to a friend, and I was thinking about, well, gee, I'd like to do that again. And I don't know if there is a hiking group in this area, but I will check it out, especially once it gets a little bit warmer again, especially if I can sell down the store far enough that it's not really taking up as much time. But the interesting thing, a couple Sundays ago, I was just driving around town, and when I did that, I came across a thing that said a reservoir this way. Well, I didn't even know we had a reservoir close by, so I took my truck down there, and the road was paved for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it wasn't paved; it was dirt, and it was a lot of fun because it's not a very big reservoir, but it's big enough. It's got some trails. Why not, right? I'm getting kind of low on chicken feed, but I went to the feed store today and they said they were out. And I want some chicken feed. Well, I don't want it, my chickens do. I've personally never tasted the stuff, and I won't. I'm not that adventurous. There is one thing about this set that I've liked so far, and that's the fact that these bags are not that big. Because when you're doing a set like this, especially when I start doing the next sections where they're all that dark gray, having big bags would be a problem because it makes it just harder to find the pieces, which then makes the build more frustrating and takes longer. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that they kind of made these bags small. A couple of them are big, but not really. They really did a good job balancing that out. Now, some people would argue that environmentally that's not a good idea, and maybe it's not, but it sure does make the build easier. I am sorry, don't mean to yawn at you. I've had a long day. Started at 4:15 this morning. I've been getting up a few minutes earlier. I found that getting up just about 15 minutes earlier makes my day a lot less stressful because I'm able to get up and get just a few things done. I know it's not a lot, but a few. And getting those few things out of the way first thing in the morning helps me feel like I accomplished something, and also I'm thinking about less things while I'm on the job. And if I'm thinking about less things, I'm less stressed. So, and I think I told you guys that, and maybe I didn't, but my windshield on my truck needs replaced. I unfortunately got a chip in it over 3 years ago, and I had the chip repaired, and the chip repair held together for quite some time. But unfortunately it gave way, and now I've got cracks all the way across, and I got to replace it. And I called the place, and they have a decent price on it. So I'm going to try to see if I can work from my parents' house for one day so that I can get that done. And when I mean a good price, I'm talking about the guy was talking about $249 for replacing a windshield, which is a really good price for a windshield, especially with inflation things that have happened. So anyway, we'll see. Hopefully I can get that done in the next week. After all, it is spidering all the way across. Okay, they just gave me an extra one. Okay, I was wondering about that. So let's throw these on here. All right. Yeah, actually, Nutter Putter Cave, John, is a good example of a liability. The guy died in there, and they have since sealed off the entrance so nobody can go in there. And that is here, well, I say here in Utah, but it's not here in Utah because I don't live in Utah anymore. What does it say back? 15 and 16. Greg, do you like going to haunted places? I figure you probably do since you mentioned it. And if so, what haunted places have you been to? And John, I posed to you the same question, or anybody else in the audience. What have you been to haunted places, and do you like them? Would you like to go to more of them? So see, now the area I grew up in California, growing up they actually had a couple farmhouses, but over time those farmhouses disappeared, and so did the farmlands, and they became neighborhoods. And as a result of that, I got the opportunity to see some of those houses after they had moved the families out but not yet tore them down. In fact, the church that I went to as a kid, right next door was a sheep farm. And it was bought out. And like I said, we were able to go there with flashlights and take a look. And I'm pretty sure we weren't supposed to, but we didn't get caught. So, and I was a young kid then. I was like 14 or something. So it's not like I really would have gotten that much trouble. And now that I'm in my 40s, I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations for trespassing is long gone. So. And I've been to another place that, I'll tell you this story. And this one, thank goodness the statute of limitations is done on this. When I lived in Provo, Utah, and this is 92, 93 era, no, 93, 94. Anyway, there was this house. It was an old, probably built in 1800s, what it looked like. And it was a farmhouse. And, you know, the power company had bought it out because they'd put strung high power lines basically going through the property, and it was too close to the house. So they bought out the house, boarded it up, and, you know, I had some roommates, and they said, you know, I'm kind of bored tonight. Let's go ride our bikes. And I said, well, where do you want to go? And they said, oh, you know, there's this abandoned farmhouse, but we're going to need to borrow your crowbar because I was in the construction. We're going to need to do that so we can pull off some of the panels and get in the house. Well, I didn't think anything of it, so I let them use my crowbar, or I guess I used it. And we went to this place, and we peeled off one of the basement windows, the boards to it, and we went inside. And it was a very eerie house. There was satanic pentagrams with candles, wax everywhere, and animal carcasses, and it was very interesting. Little did my roommates tell me until after we got done with the experience, the real reason they wanted to go there is that recently there had been 2 murders there. And they had boarded off the house, and there was supposed to be security watching the house. They weren't doing a very good job, because we got in really easily. And yeah, I swear to you this happened. I'm not joking. I do not know what it was, but I'll tell you what happened and judge for yourself. When we got to the very attic, that was where some of the animal carcasses were and some other things that were freakish. And it was at that time that we heard some scratching. And I was no longer comfortable, and neither were they. So we made our way down to the attic, which was 3 stories down. Or the attic, I'm sorry, the basement, to get out, because we wanted to go out the way we came in. And as we got to the bottom of the steps to the basement, all of a sudden, both of our flashlights that we had, both of them went dead at the same time. And when that happened, we could barely see the window on the other side of the house where we come in, because there's a little bit of moonlight, but it wasn't like it was lit in there, and we didn't have cell phones back then. And we made our way to the window, and as we were getting out of this house, there was a lot of scratching, like an animal was trapped or something. But you see, that started upstairs, and it followed us to the basement. And we got out of the house, and when we got home, we checked our flashlights. And by the way, both flashlights had their internal components had melted to the point where you could not use them ever again. And it happened to both flashlights at the same time. I kid you not. This is not just a funny horror story. This is something that really happened to me. And when we got out of there, we got on our bikes and we started pedaling. And as we're pedaling away, there was this highway bridge a couple hundred feet from the house. And my roommate said, "Stop." real quietly. So we all stopped. And as soon as we did, I guess somebody had heard us there because a cop spotlight went over the bridge and we were hiding underneath the bridge, so he didn't see us. And we stayed there and we waited until it was probably only 5 or 10 minutes, but it seemed a heck of a lot longer. We waited until that guy was long gone because we wanted to make sure we didn't get caught. And on the ride home, which was a couple miles, I kid you not again, the weirdest thing in the world, and I've tried looking it up and I cannot find anything that verifies what kind of creature this was. But as we were riding our bikes, it looked like a squirrel, but it had a perfectly triangular head, and it was very dark. I mean, it was dark outside. Like I said, there was just a little bit of moonlight. It wasn't that, you know, it wasn't that illuminated out there. And as we did this, was riding, this little creature about the size of a squirrel, like I said, with a triangular head, and it had claws, ran across the bike path, and literally I passed through it. I should have hit it. I did not hit anything. Instead, I literally went through this whatever it was. And that freaked me the heck out. And I have never, in fact, that was the last time that I did urban exploring, because that scared the pants off me so bad, I didn't want anything to do with it. And I won't be doing that ever again because it did scare the pants off me. So, anyway, I don't know what it was. And like I said, I've tried to do some online research to figure out what kind of creature that is and whether it's a known creature. And I don't mean like a real one, because I don't think a real one exists. But it was the weirdest thing in the world. In fact, telling this story is giving me goosebumps and chills on the back of my neck. So I better change the subject, because I don't like the kind of feeling that's coming with this story, me telling you it. But it's a true story. And I did not keep in touch with those guys. I later found out they were into drugs and other things, and I just don't. I don't care to associate with people who do drugs. Sorry. They say you become the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I don't want to be hanging out with people like that. So I cut ties with them very shortly, and my lease was already up anyway, and I was on month to month. So I just ended up finding another place to live because I did not want to live with them. And since they had just moved in, they had just signed a 1-year lease, so they were going to be there. And to explain that, I lived in BYU off-campus housing, which you just rented the room to the apartment. So it was a 3-bedroom apartment. So that means there were 3 of us living in there. Okay, let me make sure I've got them all. I missed one. Missed a couple, actually. So, Greg, maybe I've been to a haunted place. I don't know, maybe. Yep, I missed another one. Okay, so now 48 of these. Oh my goodness. Greg, what were you saying yesterday about repetition? I think I'm starting to believe you, Greg. I'm just kidding. I actually did peek ahead. So I knew this was going to happen. And this is going to be my last set of bags because, like I said, I've got somewhere to be at 6 o'clock. I'm not sure if I'll do a live stream tomorrow, but if not, Thursday will definitely be it. But yeah, anything times 48 takes a while. So we will We are on bags 15 and 16, and it looks like we got a couple. The next couple bags are just trees. I have not found. I actually haven't even been out there. I need to go out to the shop, and I need to find the Eiffel Tower, the original one that's 40 something inches. I want to find that one so that I can build that one too, and then side by side compare them in a video afterwards. Where am I going? Well, and excuse me for that. My nose is really bothering me. So I think I've told you guys I'm not really church going anymore. I still have some basic, beliefs, and I try to be a decent person, but church just isn't my thing anymore. But the church that I would go to if I was a church-going person, they're having their Christmas party tonight, and I wasn't planning on going. In fact, I didn't even know about it, but the kids that watched my animals while I was gone to the show told me about it and specifically asked me to go. And seeing as I do care about these kids and I think they're great, I'm going to go ahead and go. Mostly to support them, not because I'm really interested in going into a church thing. I'm really not. But, sometimes you do things for other people, and that's just it, I'll do it to hopefully bring a smile to these kids' face when they see me. And plus, these kids like talking to me because I'm not a big YouTuber, but they don't know that, and I've never presented myself as a big YouTuber, but the kids think it's the coolest thing that I do YouTube. And so the last time I went to their Labor Day party, these kids were, "Oh, this is my neighbor. He's the cool one. He's the one that's got the YouTube channel." And it cracks me up. So, something, I'll go. And like I said, hopefully I'll make these kids' night, And not only that, all my neighbors are going to be there, so I'll see them. And it's good to associate with your neighbors too, especially when you live in a small area like this. You definitely don't want to alienate yourself, as you will probably need your neighbors at some point. And speaking of needing your neighbors, my neighbor next door usually stops by with his tractor on Tuesday morning and picks up my trash can and takes it to the highway, because we have to take it all the way to the highway to get picked up. Anyway, I noticed that my neighbor did not come by, so I went ahead and texted him, and I said, "Hey, what's up? You coming by today?" And he said, "No." I says, "I'm going to be late. In fact, I don't think I'm going to make it before the trash guy gets there. I had a calf that was really sick, so I took it to the vet this morning, and I'm like over 30 minutes away, so I don't think I'm going to make it." And so I was like, "Hey, you know what? Don't even worry about it. I'll just make it out there." So I did. I picked up, I put my trash can into my truck, and then went over to his place, picked his up, and I took them both to the curb, or the highway. So yeah, when you live out here, you take care of each other. You have to. It's just, and this is very different for me, because I'm used to living in a city where, quite frankly, no one cares about each other. In fact, there were neighbors I didn't even know their names. So this is definitely, for me, this is an adjustment. I don't know if you guys have seen Doc Hollywood, but when he lived in that small town for a little bit, they made the joke that you couldn't even poop and people not know what color it was. Now, my town's not that bad, but people tend to know each other's business around here, which is another reason that I don't alienate myself from them, but yet I try to tell them as little as possible, because I don't want to be the talk of the town or anything like that. So I really try to be friendly, but at the same time keep my distance. And I really want to get this done with the store. I don't want to sell Legos online anymore. I really don't. And if anybody wants to buy a section or roll in my store, please take a look at it and make me an offer. But I will warn, don't go too low, because if I can't sell it at a reasonable price, I am actually happy to absorb it into my personal collection as well. You got to remember, I bought these things, I put a lot of time into it, so somewhere a happy medium. But again, I'm also not against just letting it sit for a couple months and selling as much as I can, and then just absorbing it into my collection. So I don't know. We got one little section left to go of the lights, and I do really like this micro scale, as they call it. And I did get the Eiffel apartment, and so I will be building that. I built the when I got the chariot that came with the gift with purchase with the Colosseum. I built that, so I'll do the same here. Okay, so I'm just making sure that, yeah, okay. I'm just making sure that I'm not covering stuff, and I'll have to redo it because I did it wrong, and I like to do it right the first time, because as they say, if you had time to go back and do it a second time, you had time to do it right the first time. So, yeah, trying to avoid that. And if you would, guys, hit the like button. I really appreciate that when you guys do that, because it helps the YouTube algorithm decide whether it wants to push this out to a new audience or not. And I hope you guys appreciate the fact that I'm not a Lego ambassador, and that I do not receive my sets for free. So because of that, I'm free to tell you whatever I want on my opinion on these things, instead of having to give a good answer. I'll give you the right answer. And here's my question. If you're constantly getting free sets from Lego, you've lost the point of knowing the value of Lego anymore, because it's free to you. So why wouldn't you say everything's worth it? Because you don't really know the difference anymore. Sorry, but I gotta speak the truth when I say that. Alright. So, today we got a few more to go. A few more bags we got accomplished. It looks like we did bags 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. 6 bags today, and then 17, 18 is where we'll pick it up. And 17 and 18 look like they are mostly just bushy trees that will go in these spots. Every single one of these studs will be covered with something. So we've got a few trees to put out. Yep, that's what it looks like to me. And then we'll be on to book 2 and box number 2. So, alright guys, I do appreciate you joining me. And as an interesting side note, if you were with me for the roller coaster, this is actually a roller coaster piece, just in dark bluish gray, that will be included in the build. There's approximately, there's not approximately, there's 8 of them here, and then there's a bunch of hoses that are different sizes too. So these are upcoming, and so are these. These are actually some of my favorite pieces right here. The graded plate modified. That's going to be coming up later in the build. So, all right, guys. Like I said, hit the like button if you would. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment below and turn on all notifications. That way you'll know when I put out a new video. All right, guys. Be good to each other and stay safe out there. And I will catch you on my next video or live stream. Have a good one.